Once upon a time, in a small African village, there lived a girl named Amina. She was blind from birth. Amina was now old enough to get married, but no one wanted to marry her because she couldn't see. People in the village made fun of her and treated her badly. One day, my friend and I saw Amina sitting alone by the river. She was crying quietly. We felt sad for her, but we didn't know how to help. Amina's blindness made her different, and many people didn't understand her. In our village, girls got married when they were Amina's age. But for Amina, it was different. Every time a family came to ask about marrying her, they left quickly when they learned she was blind. It wasn't fair, but that's how it was. Amina's parents were worried. They loved her, but they didn't know what to do. They wanted her to be happy, but they couldn't change how people saw her. The other girls in the village would laugh at her and say, "Who will marry a blind girl? She can't even see her own husband." Despite all the mocking and harsh words, Amina never gave up. She had a big heart and always helped others, even though they didn't treat her well. One evening, I saw her helping an old woman carry her heavy basket. Amina couldn't see, but she used her other senses to guide the way. The next day, something strange happened. A traveler came to our village. He was tall and kind, with a gentle smile. He saw Amina helping the old woman and was curious about her. He asked around about the girl who was always helping others. When he learned she was blind, he didn't laugh or mock. Instead, he wanted to know more about her. As days went by, the traveler stayed in our village. He watched Amina and saw how brave and kind she was. One day, he decided to talk to her. He found her sitting under a big tree, weaving a basket. He sat down beside her and said, "Hello, my name is Kofi. I've been watching you and I think you are very special." Amina was surprised. No one had ever talked to her like that before. She smiled and said, "Thank you. But why do you think I'm special?" Kofi replied, "Because you see with your heart, not just your eyes. You help others and don't ask for anything in return. That is very rare." From that day on, Kofi and Amina became friends. He didn't care that she was blind. He saw her true beauty and wanted to be with her. But the villagers were not happy about this friendship. They started to spread rumors and tried to keep Kofi away from Amina. One night, something terrible happened. Amina's house was set on fire. The flames were bright and hot, and everyone in the village came out to see. They were scared and whispered among themselves, wondering who could do such a thing. Amina's parents tried to save their home, but the fire was too strong. Amina stood outside, helpless. She couldn't see the flames, but she felt the heat and heard the crackling of burning wood. She started to cry, not knowing what to do. Just then, Kofi ran to her. He grabbed her hand and pulled her away from the burning house. "Stay with me, Amina. You'll be safe," he said, his voice calm and strong. The villagers watched as Kofi took Amina to his small hut on the edge of the village. They whispered even more now, some saying that Kofi was foolish for helping her, while others felt a pang of guilt for how they had treated her. In Kofi's hut, Amina felt safe for the first time in a long while. He gave her a blanket and some water. "You're safe here," he said softly. Amina nodded, her heart full of gratitude. She still didn't understand why someone would be so kind to her. The next morning, the village was buzzing with rumors. Many blamed Amina for the fire, saying she brought bad luck. Others started to question if the fire was an accident or if someone had set it on purpose. Amina and Kofi were determined to find out the truth. Kofi decided to investigate. He talked to people in the village, asking if they had seen anything unusual. Most were too scared to speak, but an old man finally whispered, "I saw a shadowy figure near Amina's house that night." It was too dark to see who it was, but someone was there. Kofi shared this information with Amina. She was shocked and scared. "Why would someone do this to me?" she asked, her voice trembling. "We'll find out," Kofi promised. "And we'll make sure they can't hurt you again." Days passed, and Kofi continued his search. Meanwhile, Amina tried to rebuild her life. She spent her days helping Kofi and learning more about the world through his eyes. Despite the fear and uncertainty, their bond grew stronger. One evening, Kofi overheard a group of villagers talking. One of them, a young man named Kwame, seemed nervous. He kept looking around as if he was afraid someone would hear him. Kofi decided to follow him. Kwame led him to a secluded spot behind the village. There, Kofi listened as Kwame confessed to another villager. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," he said, his voice shaking. "I just wanted to scare her, to make her leave the village. I didn't know the fire would spread so quickly." Kofi felt a surge of anger but also relief. He had found the person responsible. Quietly, he made his way back to Amina and told her everything. Amina was shocked but also determined. "We need to tell the village," she said. "They need to know the truth." The next morning, Kofi and Amina stood in the village square. Kofi called for everyone's attention and told them what he had discovered. The villagers listened in silence, their faces showing a mix of surprise, guilt, and shame. Kwame was brought forward. He looked down, unable to meet Amina's eyes. "I'm sorry," he mumbled. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone." Amina took a deep breath. "I forgive you, Kwame," she said softly. "But you must understand that everyone deserves kindness and respect, no matter what." The villagers were moved by Amina's words. They realized how unfairly they had treated her and decided to change. They promised to support her and help her rebuild her life. As the days went by, Amina felt the village's attitude change. People began to treat her with kindness and respect. They admired her strength and courage. And through it all, Kofi stayed by her side, proving that true beauty lies in the heart. Despite the newfound kindness from the villagers, Amina still faced many challenges. One evening, as Kofi and Amina walked by the river, they heard a commotion. A group of children was mocking a small boy who had hurt his leg and couldn't run as fast as them. Amina's heart ached. She knew what it felt like to be different. She approached the children and said, "It's not right to make fun of someone because they're different. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses." The children looked ashamed and apologized to the boy. Amina helped him stand and gave him a comforting smile. The boy's eyes lit up, and he hugged her tightly. Kofi watched with pride. "You have a way of touching people's hearts, Amina," he said. Days turned into weeks, and Amina and Kofi became inseparable. They spent their time helping others in the village and teaching them about kindness and acceptance. The villagers began to look up to them and often sought their advice. One afternoon, an old woman named Nana came to Amina with a worried expression. "My granddaughter, Adjoa, is very sick. The medicine man's herbs aren't working. Can you help us?" she pleaded. Amina nodded. She had learned a lot about herbs from her mother. She asked Nana to take her to Adjoa. When they arrived, Amina could hear the little girl's weak breathing and felt the fever radiating from her small body. Amina asked Kofi to help her gather some special herbs from the forest. Together, they found the plants she needed. She carefully prepared a remedy and gave it to Adjoa. "This will help you feel better," Amina said gently. For the next few days, Amina stayed by Adjoa's side, tending to her and making sure she took the medicine. Slowly but surely, Adjoa began to recover. The villagers were amazed at Amina's knowledge and dedication. One evening, as Amina and Kofi sat by the river, a stranger approached them. He was dressed in fine clothes and carried a small pouch of gold. "I am a merchant from a distant land," he said. "I have heard of your kindness and wisdom. I would like to offer you this gold in exchange for your help in my village. Amina shook her head. We don't need your gold. Helping others is reward enough for us, she replied. The merchant was surprised but respected their decision. He thanked them and left, promising to spread word of their goodness. Meanwhile, rumors of Amina's remarkable abilities reached beyond their village. One day, a prince from a neighboring kingdom arrived, seeking her help. His sister, the princess, was gravely ill, and no doctor in the kingdom could cure her. Amina, the prince said, my sister's life depends on you. Will you come with me and try to heal her? Amina felt a mixture of fear and determination. She agreed, knowing this was her chance to make a real difference. Kofi insisted on accompanying her, promising to protect her on the journey. As they traveled to the prince's kingdom, they faced many dangers. Wild animals, treacherous paths, then storms tried to hinder their progress. But Amina's courage and Kofi's strength kept them going. When they finally reached the kingdom, they were greeted with a grand welcome. The king and queen, desperate for a miracle, led them to the princess's chamber. The sight of the frail, unconscious princess filled Amina with determination. She examined the princess and realized the illness was caused by a rare plant poison. Amina knew the antidote, but the ingredients were hard to find. She explained this to the king and queen, who immediately sent their best scouts to search for the necessary herbs. For days, Amina stayed by the princess's side, administering care and praying for the scouts' safe return. Kofi never left her, providing support and encouragement. Finally, the scouts returned with the rare herbs. Amina prepared the antidote and gave it to the princess, hoping with all her heart it would work. The whole kingdom waited in tense silence. Slowly, the princess's eyes fluttered open, and she took a deep breath. The room erupted in joy. The king and queen were overwhelmed with gratitude, showering Amina and Kofi with praises. You have saved our daughter and our kingdom, the king said. We owe you a great debt. Amina smiled humbly. Seeing her healthy is all the reward I need. As they prepared to return to their village, the prince approached Amina with a special request. Please stay here in the palace. We need someone like you, someone wise and kind. You will have everything you need. Amina glanced at Kofi, unsure of what to do. She loved her village and the simple life she led, but this was a chance to help even more people. Kofi took her hand and smiled. Wherever you go, I will follow, he said. Amina turned to the prince and said, I will stay, but only if I can visit my village often. I want to continue helping my people and ensure they know they are never forgotten. The king agreed and made arrangements for Amina and Kofi to have a comfortable home in the palace. They were given the title of royal healers and respected by everyone in the kingdom. Amina used her knowledge to teach others about kindness, acceptance, and the power of seeing with the heart. Back in their village, the people celebrated Amina's success. They were proud of her and realized how special she truly was. They promised to keep her lessons alive and treat everyone with the kindness and respect they deserved. Amina's parents were especially happy to see their daughter, proud of all she had achieved. Years passed, and Amina and Kofi continued their work. Their love for each other grew stronger, and they were blessed with a family of their own. Their children grew up learning the same values of kindness and compassion that Amina and Kofi had always practiced. Amina's story spread far and wide, inspiring many to look beyond appearances and find the true beauty within. She became a legend in her own time, a symbol of hope and resilience.